Halloween is coming up in October, which means you still have plenty of time to prepare a hot costume. You could go the standard traditional route and dress as a ghost, witch, princess, or whatever they're selling at CVS because you forgot to plan ahead. There's actually a costume for that too, if you choose to go down the inanimate object route. You and your partner could be a Caesar salad. You and all your friends could be a group of desk accessories. And if you happen to be flying solo, you could even be this appalling hand sanitizer dispenser that'll ensure that you remain alone. Or you could jump on the bandwagon and get whatever's going to be popular this spooky season. Cosmopolitan, Entertainment Tonight, Billboard, Good Morning America, and tons of other websites that used to be TV shows and magazines have already put together guides on how to assemble the best outfit inspired by the film Barbie, itself inspired by a doll that's been available to be turned into a costume for more than 60 years. There are also plenty of offbeat yet on-trend options. New York Magazine website recommends trick-or-treating as that AI-generated Pope in a puffer jacket. And that's not to mention the huge selection of familiar faces available for purchase, like some guy from Yellowstone, this character from a 20-year-old movie, and this public broadcasting painter, who often makes an appearance this time of year as Outfit and Scarecrow alike, and whose likeness is available for sale in a hair-only, full outfit, or portly costume option. Those costumes, of course, are of Bob Ross, the iconic art instructor whose Joy of Painting show ran on PBS from 1983 to 1994. Throughout its run of around 400 episodes, Ross's soothing wet-on-wet painting instructions brought to life landscape after landscape that you yourself can make at home. And even though Bob Ross passed away from lymphoma in 1995, his art instruction has remained available on PBS, YouTube, and Twitch streams to this very day for all to enjoy and attempt. I've certainly tried it. This right here is an authentic attempt at a Bob Ross painting. I made this during the pandemic. Take a look at this beautiful landscape. And this rock right here is most certainly intentional and not just me covering up a huge mistake. Now, to make this thing, I followed one of the Bob Ross videos and even used his own line of paint supplies, which are just some of the many products to which his name and image have been lent to. Indeed, it's not just brushes, canvases, and tubes of phthalo green. Bob Ross can be seen on everything from toasters to boxer shorts to snow skis. And this fact is actually kind of contentious. As explored in the Netflix movie Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed, the subtle subtitle delves into the complicated relationship between Bob and his longtime business partners. After Bob's death, those partners, a couple called Annette and Walt Kowalski, took over Bob Ross Incorporated. Bob's son ended up suing those business partners over his dad's estate plans, but ultimately lost in court. And he maintains that Bob's name and image have been exploited against his father's wishes. Bob Ross Incorporated didn't participate in that Netflix documentary and contested much of the content after its release. But that company is responsible for maintaining his image, like going after these hideous, unauthorized NFTs. For people whose bad taste in art is only outmatched by their bad taste in investment properties. But Bob Ross Incorporated also protects many of the painter's literal images. According to the New York Times, at least 1,165 original works of his art are stored at a warehouse in Virginia, and the company has no plans to sell them. One reason there's so many of these things? There were 3 different versions of each painting made for each episode of The Joy of Painting. One is a reference, one made during the TV show, and one made afterwards for instructional books. But those are just a few little happy trees among the vast forest Ross himself painted over the course of his career. Back in 1991, he estimated to the New York Times that he painted more than 30,000 of them. And as noted by The Hustle, that makes him more prolific than Picasso, with a measly 13,500 paintings to his name, and Da Vinci, the so-called master who didn't even make 2 dozen. And yet, even with around 30,000 original works of art by Ross, they're essentially impossible to come by on the art market. The New York Times claims that over the years, original Rosses have sold from anywhere from 8 to 10 grand a piece, and back in 2019, one was listed on eBay for 55 grand. But that's nothing compared to what just slathered itself onto the art market's canvas.
This painting right here is the most important painting. You could call it the rookie card of Bob Ross. This is the painting painted on season 1, episode 1.
That's the owner of a Minnesota-based art gallery who says you're looking at an original Bob Ross painting from the first episode of The Joy of Painting, created live on air back in January 1973. The gallery owner says he bought it off an old PBS volunteer who was there during the filming, and she bought it herself a few months later at a fundraising auction. Certainly a far more valuable piece of swag than the standard tote bag. The title is A Walk in the Woods, and you can see Ross's signature in the lower left-hand corner. Need more proof it's a real Ross? Well, it comes with a certificate of authenticity from Bob Ross Incorporated, and you can watch the guy himself paint it on YouTube. Even though it's for sale, the owner of the gallery says he's in no rush to sell it and would like to share it with a museum or traveling exhibit. But if you've got to have it right now, go ahead and buy it. It's barely $10 million at $9,850,000. Or if that's too steep, you could buy this one instead. I'm not a famous painter, but I could use your money.